I'm Cheryl Burke, and you probably know me from a little dance show called Dancing with the Stars. What you don't know is that I have been in and out of therapy for basically my entire life. I've been sober for 3 years now, and I have an amazing new obsession that I use to help process my feelings, diamond painting. And I want to share my new obsession with my celebrity friends while trading stories you've never heard before. This is Diving Deep.
I am Teddi Mellencamp. I was born in Bloomington, Indiana. I'm probably most famous right now for Real Housewives and helping people change their lifestyles.
Welcome to my weird home full of diamond paintings.
Well, I love it. I've never done it before.
Oh, really?
Never.
Are you into arts and crafts or?
I'm not really the DIY type.
Oh, yeah, same. Only in this genre.
Well, I'm excited to try because I struggle with anxiety and being present and in the moment.
I feel you. But you're an accountability coach, so how does that work?
Because I'm open and honest about it, and I'm vulnerable, and I hold myself accountable to the things that I do right or the things that I need to work on, and I'm very goal-oriented.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And have you always been like that? Has that been something? I'm OCD, so
yeah, I'm OCD as well. Yeah, so I think from a young age, I don't even remember my early childhood.
Interesting, same, a little bit.
I'll see a picture and I'll go, oh, but I don't know if I really remembered it or I just remember that picture.
Right.
And then I can create a memory around it. But I was always very controlling in my environment. I need it to be this way or I can't
Still am.
I mean, I really work on it. I've really tried to be a little bit more laid back, Teddi.
Yeah. How do you do that?
I just catch myself.
Before you say it.
Yeah. As
you
I'm thinking it.
respond instead of react.
Yeah. It's because especially now that having kids, they pick up on the nervous energy or the anxiety or whatever you're going through. So I have to say do I actually feel this way? Am I acting out of impulse? Or am I just having...
Is there something a subconscious thought in a way, right? What is your reality versus what is the reality?
Yeah, but I have something called a rage sheet.
Whoa, no, I'm going to get into it. What is that?
It's so good. So what you do is you go... And if you're mad at something, if you have a call or something goes wrong in a business deal or you fight with your husband, whatever it is.
Oh, you don't see red?
You
don't just attack?
I do, but I don't love, I feel really bad after an argument. I'm an overthinker afterwards. So what I'll do is I'll go and honestly on a just piece of paper, I'll say everything I'm mad about. I'm raging.
Has he ever found that book?
He wouldn't even look at it. He's so, you know what I mean? But then I'll pick the things that I actually really want to say to the person or the situation or how I want to handle it after instead of in the moment.
Right.
And it gives you that, and then you realize I'm not really that pissed about this or that, or I've gotten myself all worked up just because in my mind it went a different way, but
100%.
That different way isn't a problem.
So let's just get to it, okay?
All right.
I picked a horse out for you. I hear you love horses.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I was like, what if you love cows? But whatever.
No,
good.
Horses are right.
What is your connection to horses?
I grew up riding horses, and then I did it professionally for a big part of my life, and I love it. It actually is the one place that I feel peace.
Oh, wow. Because there is a therapy to that, too.
Yeah, you have to connect with the animal in order
be present
to win.
What if you have anxiety?
I know.
Then the animal has anxiety?
Yeah, of course. If you start legging them or if you're nervous energy, they're going to go faster.
That is interesting because there's actual professional horse therapists.
Oh, for sure. For all different disabilities and mental health issues, everything.
You see, dancing used to be like that for me until I got older and I stopped drinking, so now I'm even more in my head.
Do you beat yourself up after?
The whole mothering in my inner child thing is a horrible.
While you're dancing,
I'm abandoning my little self. Yeah, I'm like, bye, you idiot. It's so bad.
You're giving yourself the business 24/7.
Oh, totally. Okay, so is that a whole world in itself? Because the ballroom dancing world is very complicated.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much say that riding horses saved my life.
Right.
Because if not, I was, more of a troublemaker.
Yeah, what was your childhood like?
Well, I don't remember the beginning part, but
At all? From ages what to what?
Until my parents got divorced. That's when I can kind of start remembering things.
And how old were you?
3rd grade. But still not a ton of memories until about high school.
Interesting.
But I was never... I don't know. I think I'm just... there were so many unknowns.
Trauma? Was it trauma that you dealt with, you think?
Well, there was so many unknowns in my life. Like, I didn't know when things were going to happen. My parents had, not the best of divorces.
Right.
I just felt really lost, and so my way of handling it was to control everything and to always pretend that I was perfect and fine.
Right.
And then,
so you were numbing at a very early age.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I started riding, and I started loving it, and then thank God for it, because as I started getting older and I started getting into boys and drinking and experimentation, 8th grade.
Oh, wow. Started a young girl.
And that's when I had 1 year where when I was doing that, I wasn't doing well riding. Like, I went from being a national champion and, super competitive to I was like, slacking, and I could see it in my scores. I could see it in how I was feeling, and then I was like, I can't do this. I can't. There's no point for me to ride and go in and just not try my hardest and not be able to do it.
So you chose.
I chose riding.
Okay.
And that was like, honestly, a godsend. But the thing about riding is you're on tour. I assume with dancing as well. Like I traveled around with like
for sure.
5 girls, no parents.
No wonder. Yeah, I also got myself into trouble. Same.
Yeah.
And so where'd you travel?
All over the United States.
And no parents?
There was one, like,
guardian.
The trainer's wife.
Your cousin who didn't care.
But, I mean, it was a lot of freedom, but it also, we knew we had to deliver because we were riding other people's horses and we needed to.
Right, so it's like the race car world a little bit. No one would think that there's this whole world behind riding a horse.
It's unbelievable. And then it's also, it's very much like gymnastics or dancing where it plays a toll in your body image. Like having to wear those skin tight beige pants. I remember going through, like, the first time my trainer said to me, you need to switch to a thong. And I mean, I was a child.
But what does that matter?
Because you could see an underwear line in my beige pants. Like those, it was the scrutiny, or like if your hair was.
Right.
But like, that's what the sport, breeds.
It's interesting. You never would think that because, like, okay, with ballroom, that really messed with my mental health.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but we're dry humping each other.
Yeah.
But, like, you would never think that your coach riding would even, like, I don't even...
Because it's all about the aesthetic and everything needs to be clean. And
like your hair needs to be slicked back.
Your hair needs to be a perfect way over your ears with the hairnet. Everything was about that. And that kind of was bred in me. And it was like the only
Perfection.
way... Yeah. The only way I knew happiness was by winning. And losing was something I would just really spiral about.
Totally. And your parents, were they putting pressure on you, or they were...
No, but to be honest, I never wanted them there.
Oh, interesting.
Like, maybe at, like, Madison Square Garden.
Right.
I had them come, and but I had to, like, do a whole sports therapy thing so I didn't want to choke.
Oh, wow. So you never saw, like, your friends were never allowed, or, like, anyone you knew, did that make you nervous, like, watching you compete?
I don't know. This is still something I struggle with.
It's okay.
This is still something, asking people to show up for me.
Yes, I know. Or asking for help.
It's really hard, and it's always been really hard.
What did your husband think of that? Does he wish that you would ask, like, for help more?
Well,
or
he's like, I'm not a mind reader.
Right.
You're
not?
I'm like, well...
What's wrong with you?
He's like, you have to tell me if you need something. And that was actually the hardest part, like when I had my first child, was my life had changed so much because I went from riding horses professionally to all of a sudden I'm at home with this baby and I'm not making my own money anymore for the first time since I was 17.
So you made money at an early age. How much money can you make riding?
I mean, not a ton, but enough that I was able to save up and buy a little condo and
and your own booze.
Yeah, my own booze. Well, I mean, a lot of that was Pink Dot.
Oh my God, there was Pink Dot back?
Yeah, there was Pink Dot.
But did they deliver?
They did. That was the problem. Yep.
Did your husband talk to you, like, rationally? I'm sure he does, right?
Well, I'll say my piece, but I'm not a words who cut type of person. Like, because when somebody says something to me, like, I could say something to Edwin and he wouldn't care in 6 minutes.
Same.
He'd be like, whatever. But he says something to me and I'm carrying it around for 6 years.
Wait, no, you're half and half. You're half me. No, I'm more like that. Because I'll take everything so literal.
Yeah, like I won't ever, like there could be something, even
Like
a
a
text message, text message. The other day I like raced home because he was like, hey, I can't, the Tesla's not plugging in. Why'd you unplug it? And he wasn't mad.
No.
I get home and he's like, futzing around like, and I'm like, sorry, like and he's like, reel it in. I just was asking like what happened with the plug. Like but I'm always thinking I'm in trouble or.
Oh, interesting. Did you get in trouble a lot when you were a kid?
I think so.
Yeah, from your coach.
I don't know. I think also, my dad is very like strict.
Okay, so your dad, I don't know anybody. I hear your dad's famous.
My dad he used to be John Cougar Mellencamp, now he's John Mellencamp.
I love the cougar.
He like really took off the year I was born.
Okay.
So when I was born, like we had really humble beginnings and like we were in a very small little place.
So he was basically not present during your birth?
He wasn't actually there when I was born.
Oh, interesting.
I was born 2 months early, I think.
Okay.
And he was in Florida recording an album.
Oh.
Yeah. And then, I think that my mom was, I may have some of these
not going
times,
anywhere.
but like I may have some of the timing off. But
that's totally fine.
My mom he met her when he came out here to meet with like an AR exec, and she was 18 and got pregnant. So then she like drove her VW van like across the country and married my dad. They didn't really even know each other.
Wow. And how long were they married?
10 years.
Okay.
I mean.
And are you close to your mom?
My mom was always the type of mom that was like your friend. And like all my friends loved my mom.
You have your first cigarette with her. Yeah,
like she gave the best boy advice, and
I would love your mom.
So, but I had a hard time with it because of my control issues. I never knew what she was going to say or what she was going to do or what, And she is one of those people that honestly would do anything for anybody. If she met you for 5 minutes, she honestly would go out of her way to make sure that you felt special, that you were good. But I don't know how to receive that. My therapist actually asked me, she goes, hey, Teddi, do you think you're a people pleaser? And I was like, absolutely not, because I'm very like black and white when it comes to like if somebody's like, hey, do you want to go to dinner, blah, 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 at 7:30? No. Like
I'm the same.
I don't feel
with your husband, no, right?
It depends if he's like, it's a work thing, it'd be helpful if you're there. If there's any sort of guilt tied to it.
Right.
But I'm happy to say no. But like, for example, I just had like a big birthday party thing where we like went away and all this stuff.
I saw on Instagram.
I was so worried about everything before we got there that I couldn't even focus.
Did you plan it?
Well, I had somebody that helped me plan it, but I was like, what if so-and-so doesn't like their room or blah, blah, blah. So I am a people pleaser in the fact that if I'm with somebody and they don't seem happy or they seem uncomfortable, I will immediately think it's me.
Yes, we're so selfish. Me too.
I'm like, she's mad at me.
What makes us think that the world revolves around us?
Yeah, like, it's something about social cues.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody's closed off in general, I won't just think, oh, maybe that's who they are.
How did you do Housewives? With that type of feeling? Because, like, that's the thing. I feel like I'm psychic, but it's really not that.
That's what ended up creating a lot of drama because I wouldn't understand what was happening. Like, I could feel that a fight was coming, I would assume it was at me, and I would immediately put my guard up.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I was, like, ready. I was ready to pounce. Like, there was I wasn't able to show, like, a fun side or a more relaxed side.
I saw that.
Not much, because
I thought you were the chillest freaking housewife ever in a good way.
But
like you were so real and raw.
Well, thank you. But like I was in my head too much.
Totally. Like if our head could talk.
Yeah, I mean it
would talk a mile a minute.
I mean, I don't know if you watched Forever, but like my first season, I went in and like immediately had an issue with Erica.
Yeah.
Granted, she's became one of my good friends and we worked through it, but like. I think we both had the same type of thing where we walked in and we felt like a weird energy with each other. But when you hear her, like I listened to her TED Talk when she talked about like why she created Erica Jane, which is exactly what you and I have talked about when it comes to,
creating this persona.
Creating a persona that helps you cope.
That is not necessarily who we are. Like deep down inside, I'm a broken freaking 5-year-old. Like, because there's certain things that, for me at least, when it comes to ballroom dancing, you had to grow up so fast. Like I always say, if I ever have a daughter, she will not be ballroom dancing. Like not even an option. I mean, there's so much that I was exposed to at such an early age. I had to grow up so fast. But like with, let's say, what you do or what you did, what was the... Do you miss it? Like, do you think that you should maybe try it again?
Well, I mean, as an adult, I did it for 10 years. I came out when I was 17. I came out here to be an actor, and I was like, I'm gonna make it. I'd won the big national, and then I could have gone to college and ridden on the team, and then I was like, I don't want to go to school. I want to be an actor.
Okay.
So I came out here, and
so did your dad help you with that a little bit?
No. I mean, and this is something that riding really did do for me is. I don't have a trust fund. When I decided I didn't want to go to college, my parents were like, well, then you figure it out. I lived in a studio apartment with another girl out here.
That's why you're so real.
But like worked in the mailroom at CAA.
Wow.
And I got headshots. After a while, I got a manager. My mom really didn't have any money.
Right.
By the time I was going to college anyway. But with my dad, it was like, well, yeah, if you want to go do that, that's fine. He's like,
So he helped. Did you have a relationship?
Oh, we always did. It was one of those like every other weekend, and then when I got to high school, it became less. And then when I was 16, my dad and I got in an argument, and we didn't talk for 2 years. And then, actually, the way we started talking was VH1 called me and said, "Will you do Behind the Music?" And I'm like, this feels a little weird. So I had to call him. I'm like, should I never thought I'd be the one to give in because we're both so stubborn. But I called and I said, hey, VH1 called me and they want me to do your Behind the Music. And he was like, so you're talking to me again?
Oh.
And I was like, well, and then we've been good since.
Like more like friends?
Yeah, like he calls me for advice. I call him for advice. Like,
what does he think about you, or what did he think about you doing Housewives?
I think at first he was really against it. And then once he saw it the first season, he was like, this is great. Well, because everyone loved me the first season.
Right. Don't watch the second one, Dad.
But then he got to the point where he was like, this isn't the best for you anymore.
Right.
Like you don't see the other side of your life. You don't see you with your kids. You don't see you with your business.
Yeah.
So of course people are going to have it. All you're doing is fighting with somebody.
You're a character that they're editing.
Yeah. So he kind of got over it, and I'm so obsessed now. I'm like, I need to figure out the next job, the next thing. Like the amount of things that I have to think about in regards to, I'll think at night.
We're never fucking happy.
I have a question. Do you do this when you're laying down? Do you say in your
head? If I lay down?
Well, sitting up, whatever. But when you're thinking about something that you want, do you try to answer it in your head, yes, no, and then go, oh, whatever it is in my head that it said is what's going to happen?
No, but I do that with stoplights, with lights. I'm like, if it turns green right now, I'm gonna have sex tonight. Do you ever believe that if you think about something or want something so hard, that for sure you're not gonna get it? And when you actually do whatever you're doing and you just let go of it because you don't really give two fucks about what it is, you get that instead?
Yeah. Well, because it's you get what you need, not what you want. There are certain things that, I know you don't like to hear that.
No, but I'm wondering, I'm trying to really digest it.
What I've learned is when you put yourself full into something and when you're just attacking it, you're going to be given what you need.
Right.
I think everything happens
for a reason.
There is for a reason. Yes. So I do think
there's energy.
There's energy and there's things that are passing. So even, when something comes to an end, let's say a relationship, you're in a toxic relationship and you think in your mind, but it should, maybe we could be back together because we did have those fun times. It was great. It was this. And you don't end up back up with him.
Abuses you. Yeah. I still go back.
Yeah. You're like, but I still want to give it a shot. Whatever it is, those are the type of things that
you learn from.
Yeah, but you don't need them. You want it. So when I first came out here, I wanted to be an actor, and I, finally got a manager, got headshots, did the whole thing, and then I finally, I thought booked a pilot. They were like, listen, I had 2 callbacks, and they were like, we love you, blah blah blah, you're the one, and then they're like, it's going to take us a month or 2 to get everything up and running and cast the rest of the group. Mm-hmm. During that time, my anxiety was really bad, and I'd always been used to riding horses, and that kept me fit. And then I was out in LA, and I didn't know anybody, and then I was drinking and partying to overcompensate, and I honestly gained about 50 pounds. Oh, wow.
In like 3 months. And they...
Del Taco after the drinking.
Yeah, like all the things, all the time.
Really?
Like I became like a Pizza Hut VIP. Like I'm not kidding. They actually have a thing for that. But I went back in for my meeting when they were ready to like start back up, and they said, "You're no longer the aesthetic that we want." So
it's gotta be hard.
You have to lose weight in order to do this. And
they actually said that to you?
They said it to my manager.
Wow.
And so then he called me and I said, I quit. Never send me out again. And I didn't go on one audition.
So you're traumatized.
I was done. And that's when I went back to riding horses.
Right.
Like, I was like, I can't do this. I can't.
The rejection.
The rejection was too much.
And then, like, the rejection relying on your, like, what your body looks like, aesthetic. Yeah,
it was just
crazy. You're like, this is too much like
riding.
And
then I went the complete opposite and then just kept gaining more weight and becoming more unhappy. And then, not that they're together the same, but I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't going on walks. I wasn't being outside. I wasn't journaling. I was only...
So your eating was like an equivalent to someone's, like, maybe, like me, drinking habit.
Yeah. Like I self-soothed that way. But then I would punish myself after.
And do what?
Just like, you're terrible. Now you look disgusting.
But not like throw up or anything?
No, I never threw up. No. I binged without throwing up.
Totally.
But then I would go home and see my family or whatever, and they'd like start to ask questions, and I was angry.
Oh, that's the worst.
So after not auditioning for, a bajillion years, I got a call from a different company, not Housewives related, and they asked me if I would do a pilot. And I just was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I had gotten to a place in my life where I felt confident again. I had changed my life, going all in.
How did you do that?
Well, after I got pregnant with my son, I had multiple miscarriages, and life was really... I was at kind of a breaking point with my husband. We were fighting. Like, I was miserable. I had postpartum. I didn't have a job. And finally, one day, I was like, enough's enough. Like, you can't be a misery loves company person. You have to find what makes you happy. You have to find your purpose. You have to do whatever. So that's how All In was started. Was I created an Instagram account without telling anyone, and I said, I'm going to change my life today. Follow along if you're interested. And I
just got chills.
And I blogged for a year without, like, I wasn't getting paid, like, slowly but surely. I started developing a following, though, because people either want to see you succeed or see you fail. Mm-hmm. And that's really how my business formed, was because people were going, I want to do what you do, but I don't want to use Instagram.
Right.
And that's how I started coaching, and all of that started happening. So I was really in a good place. Mm-hmm. And then, the other show, I did the pilot, and I absolutely hated the pilot. I hated the name of the show. Every single thing I hated. So that's when I called CAA, because I used to work there. So they're like, call this woman, Kat Carson. I'm like, Kat, please help me. I need to get out of this contract. I can't, if this pilot gets picked up, I can't do it. I can't, absolutely cannot.
Right.
And she's like, okay, I'll help you. She's like, but can you help, would you do Housewives? And I was like, I don't know. What do you think? And she's like, well, it'd be really, it's really beneficial for businesses and exposure.
And that was how many seasons into Housewives?
That was season 7, I guess.
Okay.
7 or 8. And
had you ever watched it before?
Never. Not once. And I had my meetings, and I knew immediately I got it.
How did you know?
I told my husband. The second they did our home filming, I just go, we got it. I already know. And he's like, how do you know? And I'm like, I just know. We got it. So we have to decide.
Did you need it?
I didn't need it.
See? And you got it. You almost like...
Maybe I did need it.
It's not
Actually, you know what? Maybe I did need it to settle up the power struggle between, like, Edwin was even though I had my business, Edwin was still, like, the primary breadwinner. Mm-hmm. And I have money issues. Like, I want to know that I can create and generate. Like, it made me feel good that I could... You want to
control it, yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to ask for anything. I want to have my own...
Right, everything. Yeah.
So in that aspect, I did need it, because it really helped our marriage by just having that.
Because if you can't ask for anything, how do you ask for, like... If he was the breadwinner, did you ask, like, did you hate to have to ask? Did you ask
I told him the worst day of my life every month was Amex Day.
Oh, gosh.
because he would like he's a businessman and an entrepreneur, so he'd be like, hey, what? He wasn't even being a dick about it. He'd just be like, hey, what was this? And I'm like, don't question me. It's
Stop interrogating me.
Target's diapers, and he's like, babe, I have, a bunch of people that have Amexes. Like, I just reconcile the accounts. Simmer down.
How was Housewives for your mental health? That must have been a doobie.
I came in through Dorit is how they, you always come in.
Is that how they scripted it?
Yeah, however,
It is scripted.
It's not scripted.
No, I'm kidding, I know.
But they, you come in through like a mutual connection. We had a mommy and me together, like whatever it is. And my first season was hard.
They totally bullied your ass. I don't give a shit
like
what you say.
I remember feeling that way, like shit, I'm out on a ledge of my own. But then I started developing a real friendship with Kyle and
like real
and Renna.
I just heard your podcast. It seems real.
Yeah, it's real.
Okay, good.
She's my my peeps. So
she seems real.
But then what happens is the more comfortable you get with the women and better friends they are with them, then you start forgetting that you're on camera.
Yeah,
and
just
then,
like what I'm trying to do with you right now.
Yeah.
Brainwash you.
Yeah, so then you start spilling stuff, you start saying things, you start acting a little more catty than you would have. What it ended up doing was, yes, I created some great friendships. It really, my business exploded. There was some real positives. I just said
So why did you get fired? Is that what it is, or did you?
No, I got fired.
Like, were you upset, distraught? Are you still upset?
I feel like this is my head. Once I get my next thing,
you'll be good.
I'll be good.
It's like a relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling myself.
Marriage.
But my husband keeps saying to me, like, "What do you mean your business does incredible? You're doing Instagram, you're financially better than you've ever been.
Your podcast,
yeah, like your podcast, you're financially crushing it." What ended up happening was my final season, I was pregnant. And they didn't show, and this isn't, I'm not blaming editing, but they didn't show me having my ultrasounds and being with the kids and all the struggles. They filmed me, 6 days a week. They filmed this huge part of your life, and they showed me being a mom, working with clients, all these things, but none of it was shown. The only thing that was shown was my drama with Denise. The favorite thing that people have always liked to say to me is that I'm living in my dad's shadow, or that the reason I got this job, or the reason she must be a trust fund baby, or the only reason she made it, or whatever those things. Those were the favorite excuses of every favorite reasons to hate on me. So that's what came up, and then there was another housewife that called me boring. I cried. Because I was pregnant and hormonal. She said, you're boring, and even worse, you're pregnant. And I struggle with infertility, and those two things together, being pregnant, I lost it. But I saw the writing on the wall because they promoted her saying that I was boring more than any other promo the entire season.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, if you keep seeing that somebody's boring and you don't show any other part of their life, they are fucking boring.
Totally. You can edit anybody.
You are if you don't see me with my kids or
because that's your life.
Yeah, if you don't see me doing my business, if you don't see me laughing and having fun with these women, you only see me and one other woman arguing over my dad. I am boring. I am predictable. I'm all those things, but you have to show a well-rounded person.
The power of the edit, and it's pretty bad. So are you still feeling do you feel betrayed by since Kyle's your friend, and for some reason I think Kyle, because she's an OG maybe, and I feel like she makes decisions, but she doesn't. Obviously.
She doesn't, of course. And I mean, if anything, Kyle's a friend regardless of the show. But the hardest part for me was I didn't find out from the network or the producers. I found out on Daily Mail.
Oh. So who did Andy Cohen call you?
No. So what ended up happening was Andy Cohen said I broke the mold. I'm the first person to ever admit getting fired. Everyone else just said,
I left.
Yeah. Every other person said. So
that means Lisa Vanderpump got fired.
No, well, she never actually said anything.
Right.
That was different. And also, she
got another show anyway.
Andy openly said, anybody who doesn't show up at the reunion is not welcome back as a housewife. He booted out Adrienne Maloof years ago for not showing up to the reunion.
Wow.
So that is his standard rules. They didn't want me to say anything, and I just said the attacks were getting worse because people were speculating and I wasn't saying anything. And I was like, I can't live like this. I cannot wait until the season airs in a pandemic with nursing my daughter back to health.
Yeah.
this major thing happening. So I just created an Instagram video. I honestly looked a hot mess, like been crying, my face is red, and I'm just like, hey guys, I got fired. I recently found out that my contract as a housewife is not being renewed. Of course, I could give you the standard response of, oh, we both came to the decision that it would be best. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. That's not who I am. Of course, when I got the news, I was sad. It feels like a breakup almost.
I'm telling you though, that makes you so relatable and it makes you so real. You're the only real housewife in all the chains of housewives that they have that were just, you just felt like you were a friend.
But I think, that's also the biggest thing. Like a lot of times when housewives are done, they carry a chip, like an anger towards the show, or like I'd never watch again, or all the other housewives are terrible. I don't feel that way.
You're at peace with it.
I mean, I can't say that I don't think about going back and miss it and have those moments, but I can talk about it. I can say that. My pride isn't killing, like I'm not trying to be so prideful that I can't say, yeah, of course, watching this is hard for me some days. Like I loved parts of it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like seeing them going on these trips and these places that I never would have gone or things I never would have done.
So you definitely are, you see that like you're in gratitude in a way, like you are definitely made peace with it, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Like you're not holding any grudges.
No, I would never be like, oh, they screwed me. Like it is what it is. And you know what? Either something new will come or something old will come back.
So how do you process like all the craziness that happens in your life?
Well, I think, right after that happened, I was definitely in the roughest stage that I'd been like since having postpartum. Like I was like, what do I do? And then because you have that level of like embarrassment and then failure and then...
Was your dad happy, the only one happy?
I mean, he was happy. He was like, but what he couldn't understand is how he's one of those people that if they don't like you, F them. I'm just not that person. So I think the only way that I was able to cope was like by being very transparent with the people in my life. And, whether it be housewives, like certain housewives after they've been, let go, they just never talk to the other women again.
Oh God. Because
they need that distance. In this instant, it's what I needed to do. I couldn't just completely abandon this life that I had for 3 years.
Right.
And so I just was really open and that helped.
Why are you an open book? And why are you so transparent and vulnerable? Like, is that hard for you to do that? Or is that just who you are?
I wasn't like this for so many years. And it made me so unhappy.
Yeah.
It made me so miserable. It made me think the world was against me. And I realized that being open about whatever it may be, body image, anxiety, OCD, marital issue, whatever it is, that if you open up the conversation, you realize you're not alone.
Totally.
And when you realize you're not alone, you go, I can do this. I wake up and I immediately want to go into all of the things that aren't right. And I really had to focus, like that's journaling, meditation. Those are the things that at least help me get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I hear you. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. Well, it may
listen, you're the highlighted ones, like the rhinestone ones, I give it a 10.
Well,
but it's also not finished, so you're gonna have to finish it with your daughter or have your daughter finish it.
For sure I am, and I mean, I could get like the most improved next time I see you.
Totally.
Yeah.
In the
yearbook.
You're already an open book, right? So but would you say that diamond painting definitely helped with like the nerves and anxiety when doing this?
I think for sure, and also it made the time go by really fast.
Right? It's like 7 hours.
Like but normally like when you're doing an interview or something like that, it's like
you're like stuck.
Yeah, like
answering the same question.
But it didn't feel like that. It felt really natural, and
like Oprah.
Yeah, honestly, you are the next Oprah.
Asian Oprah. Thank you. That's all. I could die now.